Welcome to Let's Talk About It. A podcast gets a platform for real talk, real people, real topics, real conversations. Enjoy the show and enjoy this journey. Welcome everybody to Let's Talk About It. A podcast that gives a platform for real talk, real people, real topics, real conversation. Today, Sarah's back. All right. She was on my episode 5. Okay. Her vegan lifestyle. She explained how her vegan lifestyle has helped her life. And also, I have some questions for her that other people is getting inspired by her story of the vegan lifestyle. And oh damn. See, look at it in the background, right? My guest is back. Sarah, how are you?
I'm really good. Thank you. Thanks for having me back.
Yes. Your episode came out. It was like a little over a month ago, and I had a lot of people asking questions about veganism or being a vegan. It was something you explained it very, very well. How it affects your lifestyle, and what I mean. And I was impressed by it. A lot of other people was impressed by it. But before we get into that, I got some questions for you, young lady. For myself. Now, let's get down to business. How did you feel the first time you coming on sharing your story? Like, how did you feel?
Well, I was a little nervous because I didn't really know how it would go. I didn't know what kind of questions you'd be asking me. We didn't do any kind of preparation or anything. And although I feel confident in my decision to be a vegan, you also never know if someone's going to ask you a question you don't know the answer to. And because veganism is important to me, I don't always like that feeling because I want to be able to provide people the information and share what I care about with them. But honestly, it ended up going really well. Like, you're very comfortable to talk to, and everything just kind of flowed and was relaxed. And so I felt good. And honestly, I also really liked talking to you because we have been friends on social media for a while. And I had heard your voice before, but we had never actually had a verbal conversation like that. And I enjoy talking to you.
Listen, this is gonna be a friendly conversation. We're gonna shoot off each other. Thank you so much for coming on there. I'm so glad you came on. I was nervous even talking to you. Honestly, tell you the truth. I mean, I was like, man, like, what am I going to ask her? Stuff like that to get facts and details. I was curious. I was like studying like crazy, like for like a final exam. It was like crazy. All right. So after everything was said and done, how did you feel after we recorded? When it stopped, we got off the Zoom account. Like, when you. Like, how did you feel at that moment when you closed down your phone, your laptop? How did you feel after the interview?
So I felt good. I felt happy that we had done it. And I was really appreciative of the fact that you wanted to share information about veganism, because I didn't know if it would really be all focused on that. And it was. I also, though, had some thoughts about things that I kind of wish I had conveyed a little bit more. Like, for the main thing, I guess, is that we talked about food and some of the things that I eat. But one thing that I feel like a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of meals are vegan. Not everything that someone who isn't vegan eats has to be adjusted. Like, there's things that you can just eat as is. Like, there's certain pasta meals and things like that. That are just already vegan. And there's also a lot of other meals where there's minimal adjustments that need to be made, things that you would really not notice. So I kind of felt like I didn't convey that. And I don't want to make it seem like eating vegan has to change every single thing about everything you eat, and everything you do in life.
Awesome. I love that. All right. See, I actually wrote this question down so I didn't forget it. When the episode came out, when you sat down and watched it on your phone, on the TV, on your tablet, like, what was going through your mind? Like, how did you feel after you watched yourself and explaining your journey?
I was actually pretty happy with how I articulated most of it. I don't always remember exactly what I say after the fact. And so I was fairly
Yeah.
happy, but I did also notice that I say, more than I want to. And I actually just said it like the last sentence too, but that kind of annoyed me. So there's definitely certain things about listening to myself that I didn't like, but overall, I thought it was a fun episode, and I was very happy to be able to send it to some of my family and friends.
Oh, see, I love that right there. Trust me, I say words all the time, and trust me, we all do it. We all do it, especially right when we watch it. Because it's hard for me to watch every episode. I'm like, oh man, why I say that? Like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? I had a glitch there, stammer, whatever it is. You know, I'm my own worst critic. But so to get back to what you were saying earlier, is there anything you left out that you do want to share from that, or something new now?
Well, I think what I said already about, the fact that a lot of meals are already vegan is the main thing that I wanted to share. And I know we're going to talk about sugar more. There are also a few other foods that I thought maybe would be interesting to people that are not vegan that they might not know about. Like, for example, carmine. It's a red dye that is used in a lot of foods, and it is made from beetles. And I feel like most people would think that's kind of gross, but you don't even know, it's the ingredient list and people don't really know what it is or think much about it or anything. So there's definitely things that are kind of like in foods that it's not needed to be there, but it makes a product not accessible to vegans.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Like an actual beetle?
Yeah, I believe so. Yes.
Ooh.
And it gives a really, really
Right.
nice deep red color, which is why I think a lot of the companies like to use it. But that's not necessary for the food itself, for nutrition or for taste. It's just color.
Okay. All right. All right. There was a couple questions that I forgot to. It was actually on the card. I forgot to ask you last time. So I want to ask you those now before I get into these questions from other people, which was very interesting. I'm telling you, your episode was like, very interesting to these people. They didn't understand it. And you know how it is. When people don't understand, they just judge. They just say whatever. And so I'm glad you actually cleared up a lot of stuff like that. What are some starter foods for like the first time for vegans? If you want to start like not being a vegan per se, but actually trying meals that are vegan. What's some first time starter foods?
Well, people already eat a lot of vegan stuff. Like I mentioned, there's a lot of pasta dishes and salads and things that are vegan. So I think that one of the things that is difficult for a lot of people to remove from their diet is cheese. So if that's the case, I would think that more of a focus on figuring out if there's a cheese replacement for you that works. And then protein replacements too. So, if people want to have that kind of more complete meal feeling with like a piece of meat and other things, there are lots of meat substitutes now made from many different things: soy, wheat, even mushrooms. There's some really good new fermented meat out made from mushrooms that is tasty and high in protein. So I think it kind of depends on the person, in terms of what would be a good starter vegan meal, because there are a lot of foods we eat are vegan, or there's a vegan option for them. Like with pasta, there's pasta that isn't vegan, but there's plenty of pasta that is vegan too.
All right. Are there processed refined sugar in plant-based foods, and how do we look out for it?
Yes, there are. The plant-based label is on foods that can contain sugar that's not vegan. There is a distinction between plant-based and vegan. And the way to look out for it is to read the ingredients on the product. And if sugar or cane sugar is listed in the ingredient list and the product does not say it's vegan and the sugar does not say it's organic, then it is probably not a vegan sugar. There's no guarantee because the company could have used a vegan sugar and not listed it that way. But if a product has sugar listed and doesn't somehow otherwise convey that the product is vegan or that the sugar is or organic, then you can't confirm it without actually contacting the company, as far as I know. So that's how you find out. You just have to read the ingredients.
Wow, because some of these people who have the ingredients so small you can't even read them. You need like a magnifying glass to read it. So
yeah,
that's crazy. That's so a lot of these companies do sneak in like these sugars inside vegan foods.
No, and not in vegan foods, but so like some foods will be labeled plant-based, but they aren't actually vegan. A lot of people will see the plant-based label and think that it's fine for vegans, but that's not necessarily true. So if a product is labeled vegan, I don't bother reading the ingredients unless I want to know them for some other reason. But I don't confirm that it's vegan by reading the ingredients. But if a product is not labeled vegan or is labeled only plant-based, then I have to look into it more to confirm whether it is vegan. And there definitely are products, like there's this cookie company called Back to Nature that has only plant-based cookies, but not all of them are vegan, but they have the vegan label on some of them. So there is a difference there. And really, when you kind of get used to scanning the ingredient list, it doesn't become that big of a deal anymore, really, especially if you're looking for, certain foods and certain things that you're kind of used to seeking out. So it's a little tedious at first, but you get used to it.
Okay, cool. All right. Sarah, we're going to get into these questions for people. They really want to know these questions, these answers. And, like I said, when the episode came out, it was late. They didn't know a lot of stuff about it. And when you busted out, they had questions. Like I said earlier, what do you feel comfortable about answering? So here we go. Sarah, from an undisclosed location, will a vegan diet help me lose weight?
It could, and it may not. You can be very, very healthy on a vegan diet or unhealthy. I think it is easier to be healthy on a vegan diet because it cuts out a lot of foods that are unhealthy, but there's still lots of different fats and unhealthy foods that you can eat. So, if you're eating only French fries on a vegan diet, you're still not going to be healthy, and you still might consume a lot of calories and not lose weight. But if you cut out a lot of things that you are eating that aren't vegan and replace them with at least decently healthy vegan food, everyone I know who's done that has lost weight. So I think it is common, but not a guarantee.
Okay. Next question is from Ted from LA. Right there in LA.
Hey, LA. Hi, Ted.
There you go. Well, I don't know if you're going to be happy about this question, but we're going to tell you anyway. He wants to know, why are dairy, eggs, honey bad for vegans?
Why are dairy, eggs, and honey bad for vegans? So 3 different products?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, there's a little feedback.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, dairy, eggs, honey are bad for vegans. Go ahead.
Okay. So, well, I think part of the question, maybe the core of the question, is because we're not killing the animal in those situations, why they're bad. So in particular with dairy and eggs, the animals are still mistreated in almost all situations. The large factory farms pretty much accepted that the animals are not treated well. And there's been a lot of research, well, I shouldn't say a lot, but there's also been research into some of the other farms that are supposed to be humanely treating the animals, more humanely treating the animals, and they really aren't either. There's really no good way to get a large amount of eggs or milk without mistreating the animals. It's just not that profitable for them. So they force the cows to stay pregnant. They cram lots of animals in, even the ones that are supposed to be out grazing in open pastures and stuff. Sometimes they don't have shade. So even though they're out grazing in pasture, they actually are dying from heat and stuff. And there's just, even the ways that they are killed and treated by a lot of the employees and stuff is really not nice. So there is a distinction, I think, maybe within vegans also, where some people might just be against using animals in any situation. And then there are people who are against it because there's just really no guarantee in our society that the animals are treated well, and it's known that they mostly are not treated well. So, like, for example, if I had a chicken that was laying eggs and it was just naturally laying eggs, I wasn't doing anything to force it to lay eggs or whatever, I would have no problem eating those. But that's my personal feeling about it. So if animals produce something that we can consume and they're fine, I don't have a problem with that. Now, honey is a little different because the bees are not mistreated to the same extent or as often, but they are still, kept in smaller quarters, and their, labor is kind of taken away from them, and which causes them to keep working and stuff. And honestly, I don't have a lot of knowledge about how bad it is for the bees. For me, I prefer to just kind of steer a little on the safer side. But I do have a friend who keeps bees sometimes, who is also a vegan, and I trust her to treat them well. So I actually consume her honey sometimes.
Okay.
And am fine with it. So I think that the dairy and egg industry is a pretty clear thing for people who know much about it, that the animals are not treated sufficiently well. Honey is kind of a different category where some vegans will consume it.
Awesome. Okay.
That was a great question, by the way. Thank you.
All right. Oh, okay, Ted. There you go. LA born, right? He's born and raised in LA. There you go.
Oh.
This is from my girl Kim in Philly, where I'm at, Philly born and raised. It says, Sarah, it is hard to be a vegan. I've been a meat eater all my life, but she wants to know, she got turned off by after being a meat eater all her life. How hard is it to be a meat eater all your life? Because she's like 44 to become a vegan now. Basically, that's what she's saying.
So I can't give my personal experience with that one, but I have talked to lots of people who have converted to veganism, and almost all of them say it's easier than they thought it would be, because there really are so many options in our society now. I think, 50 years ago, even 30 or 20 years ago, it probably have been a lot more difficult. But a lot of people will transition a little bit also, so that they're, maybe they're not eating any more meat or dairy or eggs, but they're not necessarily looking for the sugar. They're not reading the ingredients to that extent yet. And so that's kind of maybe something that people will do at first, and then they slowly start adding more things as they get more used to it, like checking for sugar. But a lot of people really do it. I have a good friend who is almost entirely vegan now, and he just started like a few months ago, and he's really found so many foods that he enjoys. And actually my husband became plant-based first, and that was maybe a couple years ago, and then about 6 to 8 months ago became fully vegan. And every now and then there's something that he misses, but overall it's really worked out.
Awesome. I love that. So, all right. Next question. My man Ryan from Wisconsin. It's a good episode and information about veganism. My question is, are there any side effects doing vegan? Someone told me you deal with blood sugar problems, unwanted weight gain, and feeling hungry all the time. What is your opinion about this?
So, first of all, I also like Wisconsin. I went to college there in Madison, so okay. That's fun. So the weight gain is not one that I've heard very much. I think that maybe would be if you are only buying some of the, like, lots of the frozen vegan options, or going to like the vegan restaurants that are supposed to be super tasty, where they're making just like replacements for nachos with everything on them and stuff like that. So the weight gain, I wouldn't worry about unless you're inclined to just eat very unhealthy anyways. Blood sugar levels, I also really am not familiar with that. I'm trying to think of why that would be, but the only thing I could think of is if someone is used to eating a lot of sugar and then they eat less going vegan, or vice versa. But that would just be something that you'd need to be aware of and shouldn't be a difficult fix, because there are plenty of vegan sugars that you can eat. It's not like you can't eat sugar. And then the being hungry one, I have heard that a little bit, but I think it's more just because people are kind of not prepared, which is why I encourage people who are a little nervous or not super familiar with veganism to do sort of a transition. Obviously, I'd love people to just go from not vegan to vegan because it supports my view on things. But the reality is that you know, if you aren't familiar with it, it might take you a little time to kind of get used to it and learn. But it will happen. It does happen, just like any other transition in your life. So I think it's just a matter of making sure that you're kind of prepared and have the foods to eat. You're not going to want to eat just fruits and vegetables. That's kind of a misconception I think most people have. Eating lots of fruits and vegetables is very healthy, but you have to eat other things. You have to get your protein. So that's just something you need to pay attention to and be aware of with your diet.
No, sir. But before I ask the rest of these questions, like, what do you think about, like, when people, like, there's a lot of people who just says or probably make up stuff about being a vegan. Like how do you feel about, a lot of people have all these negative questions about being a vegan. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's very frustrating, Lewis, and I appreciate you asking, because a lot of people do kind of, they have this very negative perspective on it and just assume things. And it's difficult to talk to people like that. A lot of them don't really want to hear my answer. They just kind of already made up their mind that it's bad. That being said, I think that's how a lot of people handle many things in life. So I don't think vegans are the only ones that deal with this. When someone has a different perspective than they do, some people just kind of aren't that open to listening. And it's not like in every situation, everyone has to be, your mind has to be changed about things. But like you and I conversing about this, it's like I don't feel any negativity or anything. We're having a discussion and you're learning and I'm seeing what people are curious about. And on other topics, the roles would be reversed between us. And I think that's how it should be. And so I think it just comes down to generally when people are not knowledgeable about a certain topic or feel insecure about something, I think they're inclined to kind of take that more decisive negative attitude and not really be open or listen to what someone else's perspective is and maybe what the facts are.
You know what? I'm so glad you said it, because I'm tired of everybody with, when people came out with these questions, it was actually a lot more came in. It was more negative than anything else. So I was like, I'm not even going to ask the stupid shit. It's so frustrating, especially about being a vegan or being vegetarian. Automatically put it down. Oh man, like they're not going to live long enough, right? Or they think. Matter of fact, there's a lot of things I heard. I don't know if you heard this. That vegans and vegetarians think they're better than everybody else. That stereotype right there. And I was like, dude, it's the food. It's their choice. It's their lifestyle. You know what I mean? They don't want to do what you want to do. That's fine. You know what I mean? But stop being so negative. I mean, you don't hear other people say, oh, well, you shouldn't eat meat. It's going to kill you. Nobody's saying that, It's just, I'm sorry, I had to vent right there. It's just so getting on my nerves.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's very frustrating for me, because I think people actually are just so used to it being what they're used to that they're not open to it. And there's also evidence to the contrary for some of that, like plant-based eaters actually are usually healthier and live longer. And that's not necessarily full veganism, but the different foods you eat when you're plant-based. So that's disappointing, but there's going to be people like that, and maybe those people at some point will be more open to at least listening.
Well, that's why these questions came out. At least these people open up their minds and they want to know and they want to try something new. There's nothing wrong with trying something new. I'm trying something new. I'm actually going to, when I go to Colorado, I said I was going out there. A friend of mine is going to take me to I think it's a mixture of vegan and something else. I forgot what it was. It's some type of mixture. So, and I said, you know what? This is gonna be the first time I'm going to have me a full vegan meal.
Yay!
Right? I'm gonna take a picture of it. Right? I'm gonna make a little video. I'm gonna tag you in it.
Yay! I can't wait.
And I'm gonna sit down and eat this meal. I'm gonna have them record me. I was like, I put the fork up. This is for Sarah right here.
I'm so happy. I'm really excited to see what you think. So is your friend like kind of a vegan friendly person? Like
it's gonna be first time for us too, both of us.
Really?
So, right? But I want to try it. I want to do something different. More to me, I'm starting to realize it's more healthier as well. I'm learning a lot from you. I'm learning a lot from from researching this, and that's the whole idea. Like bring people on like you to educate it from your own personal experience, not like the people who has their own TV shows or whatever, this and that. They have like a broad general view. They'll tell you exactly A, B, C, D, whatever in a certain time limit. This is just an intimate conversation between two people about a subject and a topic. I think that's so much better. You get so much information from that. This is why you're the best person for that.
Well, thank you. And I'm so excited for you. That's so awesome.
Yes. I'm going to tag you on it. Let's get to Clara from Sarasota, Florida. Here we go. Sarah, loved the episode. Love how well you represented us vegans very well. On a side note, I think you're very beautiful. My question to you is, how do you handle? And this is kind of crazy. What we just talked about this. How do you handle some of SMF questions? You know what I'm talking about. you know what that's the SMF, right?
Wait, SMF? You said?
Yeah, SMF questions.
No, I don't know what that is.
Stupid mother.
Oh, okay. I got it.
How do you handle these SMF questions about being a vegan and trying to preach to us about animals? I've gotten into a lot of trouble with my mouth. I've gotten almost arrested for it. How do you handle it? Because you seem so calm, collective, and cool. And again, yes, you are very beautiful.
Well, this is
that's
my favorite question. No, but it's really nice to hear from another vegan that feels reassuring for me. So I appreciate that feedback too, because it is important to me. I try to be accurate, but obviously I'm not perfect, and I don't have a specific education in nutrition or science or anything. So how I deal with it, it is sort of something that I consistently think about, actually, because I do feel very strongly about it for myself, but I also very strongly believe that there's no way to know what is right or wrong in this world for sure. So I can't force someone else to believe what I believe. And for all I know, I'm 100% wrong. I don't think I am, because that's why I make the choice that I do. So I'm kind of always trying to remember that and stay open because of that, even if I still, at the end of the day, make a different decision. And even if I still try to convey the information I think is very important and is very persuasive. But I sometimes kind of consider being a little bit more forceful as well, because I do feel so strongly about it. But really, I don't find that generally does a lot of good, even if my goal is to persuade people. I have most of my friends aren't vegan, but they are pretty open to vegan food, like you, Lewis, like they've, tried more things and stuff because of me. And so I sort of feel like being a normal person and living my life as a vegan and showing them that that's possible is probably, I'm hoping, doing as much good or more than just being so forceful with the message. That being said, I think that it's important to have both in the world, because if we didn't have things like PETA is a great example of a company that is pretty blunt with their message and very open. They show a lot of very inflaming videos and things that are upsetting. And if that weren't out there, I feel like people would be less aware of the issue in general. So I think it's good to have that, but going to that extent, I don't think is necessary for everyone, because then we are going to have people, the people who you brought up earlier who, assume that vegans think they're better than everyone. That is going to be true then if we all act like that and we actually don't listen to other people and have just, discussions about it. And so I think that's why. But, depending on the situation and the person, I am a little bit more like forceful and open, but never because I'm trying to be mad at the person, just because I'm being more open with my passion about it sometimes. And with some people, I feel like that can come across and they know that it's because I'm passionate and not because I'm trying to be mean. But when I'm talking to most people, I try to kind of like not do too much of that so they don't take it the wrong way.
How would you handle someone being a stupid MFer if they came to you that way? How would you handle that situation? That exactly.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to ask the question. So I think that I would start by trying to respond the way I do to everyone. And if they were still being just kind of obnoxious and really not listening to what I had to say, then I think I would probably just try to remove myself from the conversation without just cutting them off completely, and say, well, I don't really feel like you're open to this or listening to me, so I don't think it's worth talking about. But if you ever want to actually discuss things, I'm happy to hear your perspective too. I guess another option, and some of it would be, I think I'd kind of feel out the person, because sometimes also if you ask people questions, they might respond better. Like, and they see that maybe, like, they can see that I'm not upset with them for eating meat. Maybe they won't be as upset with me for not eating meat. So I might be like, okay, well, why do you think it's important to eat meat? Like, I understand you don't want to stop it, but why do you think I need to eat meat? And, maybe kind of turn it around that way to just find out, because maybe there's a reason. Maybe they have been told something or know something I don't know, or who knows. And so sometimes that can help too. But I feel bad for Clara because I don't encounter this every single day. That being said, most people in my life, I'm very open with being a vegan. So most people just already know that I am a vegan, and I have no problem telling people. Like, I even have vegan stickers on my water bottles at the gym and stuff. So when people talk to me, they might already know. But I don't know what kind of people she's encountering either. So, but those are the ways I think I would approach it, just like anyone else. Like if you're in a bar and someone's being an ass or something like that, there's some people who you can calm down and have a discussion with, and others that you just can't.
Maybe because she lives in Florida. I don't know. Maybe them people down there don't get it. Florida's a different state. And I'll find out soon because I'm going to be moving there in 6 months. So I'm going to find out.
Where in Florida are you moving?
I am anywhere near water. I'm good to go with that. Getting out of Charlotte. Want to go down to Florida. Probably somewhere near the water, either Jacksonville, not Orlando, Tampa area. Tampa area is looking really good right now. So we go find out. So 6 months. Yes.
There's actually a good amount of vegan restaurants in Tampa too. So you can keep exploring there.
I'm going to keep on exploring. So I got one more question for you. This is from Tammy from Colorado. So Sarah, I saw your episode on how you started being a vegetarian at first at a young age. She wants to know, it's up to you to answer this now, how did your parents react to that?
Okay, so I think my mom really had no problem with it, and my dad didn't really have a problem with it. I think they both knew I was going to do it, but my dad did ask more questions about, like, well, don't you want to eat this hamburger tonight, or don't we want some chicken? And so it took a little longer for him to accept that it was going to stick, and that it wasn't just a temporary thing. And I think he might have asked questions also being concerned about my health to make sure I was healthy, but I never had any health scares with it. So they reacted very well, and I feel very lucky. And I know that's not the case for everybody, I think. But I think that if you show people you can be healthy, then most people accept it.
That is perfect right there. That was the borderline most personal question I got, because I don't like to give a lot of personal questions. Right, when I first met you, well, I really met you, but like seeing your posts and conversations we had last, I could tell you're a very private person. So I didn't want to go like far with that with these questions on being personal. So, because you're my Sarah, I got protections.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind getting a little more personal. I don't know what kind of personal questions you got, but I don't open up without being asked, just because that's just not who I am. But I am okay sharing, just so you know. Like, so if there's, and I also don't get offended that easily. So like, if you ask something and I don't want to answer it, I'll just tell you, but it's not like going to change anything. I won't be upset.
So you're awesome. So we're gonna wrap this up right here, but I have a new game for you, young lady. Not the same game as last time. It's actually a new one. I call these the threes, and it's gonna be Sarah's threes.
Okay.
It's just three questions. Three questions that actually pretty good. Are you ready for this right here? There's no time limit. It's just a question. It's a question answer. That's it. No time limit. You got plenty. Unfortunately, I did this with Mario on his one. It took him a long time to answer one of them. It was funny. You got to check it out. It actually came out. He was so stumped about it. It was so.
Yeah.
So I love that guy.
I'll watch it. I think his video popped up in my YouTube feed earlier. But I was listening to music, so I'll watch that one.
Yeah, he's one of a kind. He's Mario. That's all I can tell you. All right. What is your favorite thing about yourself?
Louis, that is such a good question.
You got plenty of time.
Okay. So you're gonna just edit out the pause where I'm thinking, or is this in there?
If you want. I can do the little what's that little Jeopardy thing that
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't mind you leaving it in, but it might be boring. I'm trying to think of my real answer here because I don't know for
your
sure.
reaction is priceless. I love it right now. I'm loving this reaction. It reminds me of Mario. He's the same way. Like, damn, shit. He was cursing. He's like, oh man, I don't know what to say.
Was this the one that he had trouble answering too?
Yeah, no, it was something similar, but he was like, I don't know what to say.
Okay. I think my favorite thing about myself is my desire to always get better.
I like that. You know what? I'll tell you why I'm starting these questions at the end. So number 2, young lady, if you can tell your 5 years ago self one thing, what would it be? Your 5 years ago self, 5 years ago, Sarah, from 5 years ago, what would you tell that one thing to that Sarah? That's a different question there. She thinking. I love it.
I think it would be focus on what is most important to you in life now. Don't wait. And relax, because what you think of yourself is more important than what anyone else thinks of you.
Oh, God. You know what? I would have to say that's probably almost similar to what I would say.
Oh, how nice.
Seriously, that's a whole nother subject. So, wow, like you know what? That's kind of tough though. Because sometimes some of us, I'm not gonna say you, but for me, like years ago, I was so worried about the perception of me or what I was doing or in other people's eyes. And I was so worried about that. I got consumed with that. So consumed about, all right, am I going to do the right thing? Am I going to say the right thing? Am I going to stammer at the wrong time? Am I going to trip and fall or whatever, or this and that? And that's why I would definitely tell myself like 5 years ago, like 5 year me, like, to me, I'm a different person. I would say it totally different. I would just say, fuck everybody, but that's just that's just me. In 5 years, you learn a lot. They think it's nothing, but it's crazy what you learn in 5 years, and as you get older. And if you could just tell your one piece of advice that 5 years ago stuff, will it change everything? Maybe, maybe not, but it might help out even more.
It might speed up the process for you a little bit. So I have a question then for you, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
So you said that you got consumed with other people's perception, and of course, I think that everyone has that to a certain extent in their lives. And one thing that I think is maybe not great about social media, where we met, is that it so easily kind of draws you back into that, and you have to kind of. It's difficult to make sure that you're not worrying about that too much and not focusing on that too much. And so I'm curious if that affects you the way it affects me, and if you're able to manage it, and if you have any advice on managing it.
Oh my God. Man, how much time we got? Let me see.
No. You don't have to answer now. We can talk later if you want. But you reminded me of it. I thought that based on what you said, you might have a perspective that is helpful.
I can tell you right now, and I'll tell you this part here. When I got on social media like full time, it was like, I don't know, not too long ago. And when you first get on it and you follow people, you join people, you see what they're doing. Right. So it's not about ego or competition. Like, oh, damn, well, like, you want to get followers, right? Now I'm in some of you just for me. I had to get followers. So I had to do something like what they're doing, like, working out, like doing the gym stuff. Like, okay. And I would go by the guidelines. You have to post every day, so many times a day, all this shit. And I fell into that trap. Right. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm posting this, I'm trying to work up new routines, this and that. And like, you take somebody's idea, you spin a little bit, you make up your own idea. And then I'm like, all right, well, it's coming up a little bit. And it's not really working. Like other people's get like 10, 15,000 people, 100,000 people. I'm like, how do they get that? And I'm working my ass off, but I'm doing it for them, and then I got caught up with like, the whole social media with TikTok, which that's like demon right there. You get caught up in like scrolling up, looking at stuff. At first it was fun, and then it gets addictive, and then it takes away your time to live, like to do other things. Social media, we hear stuff on social media. This person says this person says that, and we get caught up with social media. Social media can be good, but it can also be bad. How do I do it? I post what I post and I put it away. I don't look at it. I don't look at the responses and till like later on that day. I just forget about it. I'll get on it. I'll go on TikTok or Instagram or Twitter. Like, all right, that's good. I give myself 15, 20 minutes, half an hour. If I get a DM or somebody tags me something, I'll comment on it, put it down. I'll go on my life. A lot of people has had social media consume their lives. That's all it's about, social media. The thing that see, you got me started. I end it here. The thing I hate the most is when people are out and about, and the next time, right, you go to a restaurant with your friends or your husband, watch other people. Instead of having a conversation, they're on their damn phone. And guess what? The majority of the time they're on social media. Instead of engaging to a conversation, not just scrolling, texting, they're on social media. Social media has taken over their life, even on their personal time out with their significant other or friends. You can see people walking across the street on social media. It is crazy. But for me, I I do my thing and let it go. Don't get caught up in like, oh man, like, you got to post this, you post that. I don't care anymore. That's as far as I go. Sorry.
Well, I think that's great. I think that's a great response. Thank you.
I'm telling you, don't get caught up in it. I hope you don't get caught up in that, correct?
I don't think so. I had some trouble for a while and I realized it. And so now I'm doing similar things to you, actually. I think where, if after I post, I try not to let myself be like, okay, are people liking this post? Like I care, but I don't want to be so compulsive about checking and stuff. It's like have to be more rational about it. It's like, okay, I'll go back later and see how people reacted. And then I can assess it. Is there something I could have done differently? But also, it's important, you kind of mentioned that you post what you post. You're not trying to like imitate people anymore. And for me, it is important to make sure that what I post still feels like me. Like I might adjust things based on feedback, but I would never do something that, feels wrong or that I disagree with or something like that. And that's definitely important to me. And that's always been important to me. But
okay.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, here we go. Last one. You are hosting a dinner party, okay? What 3 people would you invite to your dinner party, past or present?
Like anyone, and I can assume that they would come.
Yep, you got 3 people. Anybody.
Okay, well,
past or present.
The only person I know for sure is David Goggins. He's coming to my dinner party. And who else? This is a hard question too. That's good questions.
It's awesome. I love seeing her think. It's crazy. I love it. I'm definitely gonna put a Jeopardy theme song on this one.
Yeah, seriously.
That's okay.
I don't honestly know for sure. Like if I actually had this opportunity, I would take a lot of time to think about this and like look at different people.
Okay.
Another person that interests me is Hillary Clinton, because I think that she went through a lot as a female in our country. And I really would just love to hear. I mean, I don't know how she endured it, all the criticism and everything she got, whether or not you agree with her or dislike her or like her. I think that it's amazing that she's still a somewhat sane person after all of that. And I would love to just hear about that and also ask her about politics too. Okay. And then, I think maybe Warren Buffett, because he's so smart and he's so successful. And he also is just like so giving and so nice. And so I can't imagine him being a bad dinner guest. And I think he would be very interesting to talk to also.
Wow. You want to hear mine? Yeah, one of them is the same as yours.
Which one?
Number 1 would be my man Denzel. I want him there. I want him there. Number 2, my all-time favorite, the woman I fell in love with for many, many years. Not this version, but the old version, Adele.
Oh,
I was in love. I was in love with her.
You gotta have her
say. Long story. And the last one's Hillary Clinton.
Really?
I'm a big Hillary fan. I'm a big Hillary fan. I think she's one of the strongest women in the world. I'm not gonna get old politics, how she got robbed down in Florida, how it flipped around, but that's another subject. But
I had no idea. I actually was trying to not be like political at all because but I am also a fan. I think she's incredible. So
she's a strong woman. You got to watch her documentary. It is like the one she's telling herself.
Mm-hmm.
It was on Hulu. I forgot. It's called Hillary.
Okay.
And that really put me over with her. She is straight real. Like she pulls no punches. She is who she is. She explained the whole Bill thing and everything. She didn't get deep with it, but she talked more about it then. So, Sarah, this has been a pleasure. I thank you so much for coming on here. You know, you are also one of my most delightful guests. I appreciate you coming on, all your knowledge and how being a vegan and veganism has helped out your lifestyle. And people had questions and they wanted to know from you. To end this, how do you feel that after your episode 5, when everything came out and people responded to you and they wanted to ask you these questions, like how does that make you feel?
I'm so happy actually, because it means people were engaged and listened. And that is honestly probably the most important thing for me, besides, you being happy about it, because it's your show and you've given me this opportunity to share this. So that's the most important thing. And from there, I couldn't believe that people did respond. And actually, I'm curious how you get so many questions for people. Do you reach out to people who watch?
Yeah, DMing me, like I'll get DMs and emails, especially there's an email on the YouTube channel, on the channel. Go to the contact. You can email me automatically.
So you don't know all these people?
I know 3 of them.
Oh my goodness. I think I just love that. Whether it's my episode or someone else's episode, I love people being involved and wanting to learn and like doing things, not just like you were talking about, you're not just sitting on their phone and scrolling, like they are doing something in this world. And I think that's awesome. So I think that what you're doing is great. And if anyone is listening, thank you for the questions. Anyone who emailed, even negative questions, I think it's still nice that you're engaged, although I'd wish you'd be more open. But yeah, that's awesome.
You are a pleasure. Sarah, thank you so much for coming on. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thanks again for another episode of Let's Talk About It. We will see you next week. Have a great week. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching the show. Please subscribe, click on the bio, support the show. Thank you so much again. We'll see you next week for another amazing episode on Let's Talk About It.